Hello, Emily and Sophie, our Agony Aunties. So I have one from a mum. I have a question about my 6-year-old daughter. She is highly emotional and can become very angry with hitting, crying and outbursts. Usually there is something worrying her, but it takes a while for the reason to surface. Are there any tools that can help young children verbalize, expel their feelings? My daughter does not like directly talking about anything emotional. Do any of you 6-year-olds like talking about anything emotional?
Probably not, or not directly, yeah. I think just such a lovely thing that this mum is thinking about her emotions and how to express them. So just that means that you're already helping her work it out, even if it doesn't really feel like it. And you know her operating system, that she needs to let it all come out before she's able to name it. It does sound quite exhausting to get there. And I suppose what I'd suggest is maybe talk with her about her really intense emotions at a time when she's not upset, because she can't hear anything when she's in that state of kicking and shouting and screaming. So you could say something like, I notice that when you get really big, and then you can think together about things that maybe you would like to try, like hitting a pillow or like tensing and relaxing your body. And then when it comes to the moment, it's quite likely that she probably won't be able to do those things, and that's okay. That what you're doing is building her toolbox so that at some point she might be able to use them, even if she can't in that moment. And so in the moment, I think it's mostly probably about keeping yourself calm, making sure she's not actually hurting anybody or hurting herself. And actually, I think that is almost the hardest thing is being able to stay regulated yourself when your child is really losing it. So taking yourself outside, taking a breath. And what you're also doing is modeling to her about how to stay calm. When my children are really losing it, I have to say things to myself to try and stay calm. This is not about me. They're trying to work something out. Or what I remember saying to Sophie, I'm bigger and wiser and stronger and kind, things like that. But it's hard seeing your child have lots of big emotions.
Yeah, really hard. Because emotions are contagious, right? Happy ones and distressed ones. And as a mum, you feel you have to sort it quickly. There's a kind of urgency, isn't there, when a child is very intensely distressed?
And a powerlessness. I think it's that feeling of whatever I do, it's not helping. I'm not making a difference. But you are. It just, by being able to stay calm, naming the feelings yourself, talking about it to her when she's calm, all of those things, like validating the reasons why she's upset, because you might have a better idea than her. All of those things will be helping her. It just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's funny. Is it with Agony Aunties? I don't know about you, but sometimes with the questions, it's like reading myself. Feel that, felt that, happened that. I have 2 children, and I have one that quite easily can have that calm conversation when they're calm before bed. And be like, oh, what do you think happened? And I have another one that basically gets really cross if I try and talk about how she feels, even when she's calm. Sometimes she can, but often she can't. So it's been a thing I've been thinking about. I haven't arrived at any genius answers, but I did come across the idea that shame and feelings are particularly close together in those children. And that's certainly been my experience.
That's interesting.
That kind of pointing out their feelings somehow can be quite like overwhelming and somehow a slightly embarrassing or shaming kind of feeling, which may be just developmental. Just because there's a phase, that doesn't mean that this is a permanent thing. But I think then, if that's the case, and if that is any resonance for you, I do think stories, or a third way of exploring feelings that isn't about them, can also be helpful. So getting maybe books from the library that are talking about how different people feel different feelings, and that's okay. And there are probably ones that we can look up. I imagine this is more Emily's specialism, but that might be helpful books that help children think about having feelings.
There are ones that are about the actual experience of what it feels like to get angry. Because it's scary getting angry. Like, it feels scary. One of them is called like The Red Rage or something like that, and it's really beautiful and it's lovely illustrations.
I'd like to see that. I think then you can have a third person conversation about, oh, what do you think it's like for that person in the book? And then I think that can be more like a curiosity and a story, which I think often children find easier to respond to.
And I was thinking, as a parent or actually anyone listening, there's probably in all of us a sense of shame from our childhood of having very strong feelings. I was certainly brought up with don't make a fuss, or sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. If you're a parent who had that emotional kind of upbringing, then it's quite hard to not feel that, even if you think something differently.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people have also had the experience, most people actually, of that some emotions are okay to feel, but others, depending on your family of origin and the sort of culture of your family, that's like the anger, for example, is often a feeling that you're not supposed to feel, whereas being sad is okay. So I think anger is often a feeling that people grow up thinking that's too much. And I think when you have a really angry child in public, that does feel quite exposing and shaming, and what you might do at home, and you're like, oh God, I want to do this thing that I think is the right thing as my parenting philosophy, but actually, like, in this moment, I just need to get my child in the car because I can't bear the looks people are giving me. Some people are sympathetic and some people are really annoying, judgy people. That's okay too. If you're in a moment where you just have to get your child into a car, sometimes that's going to happen.
So I think a kind of strand to take away that, and you used the words I was grappling to find and couldn't find, which is like feeling too much, that you're too much. And I think a lot of adults, clients have come to me, and I felt it too, that you're too much, you're making a fuss, you're doing too much. So I think it's such an important question for a kind of belief about yourself as you grow into adulthood, that no feelings are too much, and that it's finding ways of both validating them, expressing them safely, and allowing them, and then finding ways of down regulating so that you can then go into a thinking place, or where you can feel more able to understand what's going on.
And the only last bit I would add is to be self-compassionate about it, because every single one of us is going to have done the thing that later you wish you hadn't done, or you feel guilty about, you shout at your kids, or whatever. We all lose it, and we're all doing our best. And one moment where we get it wrong, or several moments where we get it wrong, there's also repair, and repair itself is really valuable. So we can go up to our kids later and go, I'm so sorry I shouted, that wasn't very helpful for me to do that next time, and you can have a conversation about it. Or even just, it doesn't matter if they don't say anything, just even saying sorry and acknowledging that you got it wrong is meaningful.
Lovely.
The only thing that I'd add, and this is a much more general thing, is something that I've started doing with my older child, who's 4, so still not very old, is at the end of the day, we do a rose, a bud and a thorn. And I
love that.
Telling Soph about this on the weekend. And a rose is something that was really good or positive, like the best bit of your day. Your bud is something that maybe you're learning or is new, or it's something you're looking forward to. And then your thorn was something that just really sucked or was really hard. And I always go first because that's what my son prefers, but it doesn't. Yeah. Yes, but obviously whatever. And then the thorn is a bit where sometimes I'll say, and my thorn was, when I was really upset and I got frustrated and I shouted, or I was short with you. So that's also a nice, quite a non-loaded way of having repair, as well as building up a practice of gratitude, really, of thinking about the good things that have happened, even if the day wasn't a great day. There's usually something in there. Eating my shreddy stuff. Like it doesn't have to be a big thing, or like doing my colouring, or a small thing.
I think it's a beautiful thing, actually, and adults to do. And I think it's this kind of beginning pathway into emotional intelligence and reflection, gratitude, recognition that you have all 3 things every day. I think it's a really lovely practice. So thank you both, and thank you very much for your question. And I hope it's helpful, even if you just take one thing from it. All of you listening, do please share this if you think it's helpful for other people. As I always ask, do please rate and subscribe. And do keep asking us questions, because we really like thinking about your questions and learning from them ourselves. So until next time, thank you.